businesses from looting.
People are getting injured, and our job is to protect this business.
You end up with the fissures that you have that create these sort of situations that we're dealing with now. But as the governor said, DCI's investigation is ongoing, but we don't need an investigation to know that Blake's shooting falls in a long and painful pattern of violence. And this is a pattern of violence that happens against black lives too often across this country. And as you all know, we saw even more gun violence unfold on Tuesday night when 2 protesters were tragically killed and 1 other injured by gunshots. Someone that wasn't looking to keep peace, an outside agitator, someone who came in from Illinois with a long rifle, was able to just walk the streets freely like that's something normal that we should just come to expect. Let me tell you, that's not anything normal. We shouldn't come to expect it. We shouldn't accept it. Because what do you think is going to happen if you have an agitated man with a long gun walking down the streets thinking that he's some sort of peacekeeper? And that kind of behavior shouldn't be enabled either. And we have to deal with the devastating results of that. We saw that happen in Louisville already. We saw it happen in Charlottesville. Somebody ran their vehicle into protesters and Heather Heyer was killed. Now, Kenosha, Wisconsin is also home to that sort of tragic scene. We have to not ever want to see that happen again. And I say we have to want because we truly have to have that desire. We truly have to work towards that not becoming the reality of our state. It was painful. It was tough waking up Wednesday. And to see that news, the first thing I woke up to, or the text that I woke up to, it was a friend of mine that said that she was struggling with how to deal with it. I didn't even know what she was talking about. And for some reason, I was up really, really early in the morning. But that was the news that I woke up to. It was the news that so many other people in this community woke up to, a community that's still already reeling from a tragedy. Our broader Wisconsin community continues to reel in from this tragedy. People who are protesting against systemic injustice and violence, people are out there because they want to save this nation. They want to correct the mistakes that have been made over time. Many mistakes that have been made before most, if not every, protester was even born. And if we don't want to correct those mistakes, if we fail to correct those mistakes, the problems we deal with going forward are going to be nothing, or excuse me, what we're dealing with now will be nothing compared to what we'll deal with down the line. We have to bring about this change because it's desperately needed. But people need to be able to do so without fear of losing their own lives. And so thankfully this morning, we didn't wake up to that same sort of news. There wasn't the news about tragedy in Kenosha. And we can't afford for that to change tonight or any other night for that matter. That means leaders at every level, elected leaders, community leaders, faith leaders, law enforcement, everybody has to recognize the pain of those who are protesting and have to do everything in their power to work to call out, but not just call out. If you have the power to do more than call out, you do more than call it out. You should do what you have to do to end systemic racism and the systemic violence that happens every day. Country
Chief, Governor Evers. We're working together to continue this important mission in Wisconsin to help the local authorities keep people safe. I want to thank all the supporting states, the law enforcement, local leaders, and most importantly, the community for your understanding and coming together to make this a great place and make Kenosha a place that people want to come for all the wonderful things that it has to offer. And I ask you and the press to help us do that. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll entertain any questions you might have. Yes, ma'am.
Governor, the Sun-Times is reporting that Jacob Blake is handcuffed to his hospital bed. Does that concern you?
Hell yes. I would have no personal understanding why that would be necessary. Certainly, he's paid a horrific price already, being shot 7 or 8 times in the back. So I can't imagine why that's happening, and I would hope that we would be able to find a better way to have him get better and recover than that. That seems counterintuitive. It seems to be bad medicine, and I would say bad restraining.
Governor, there's a video that's circulating. It's gone viral right now of what appears to be law enforcement officials on Tuesday night thanking the teenager who ended up being the shooter that night, who killed 2 people, thanking him, handing him a bottle of water. I guess my question to you is, A, what's your reaction to that, and B, what authority do you have to look into that? Well,
I saw the same thing, and I was concerned. The overriding answer there is I would like to disinvite all those people that are running around with long guns for no apparent reason to stay home. I mean, I grew up in the Vietnam War era, folks, and there was nothing more important than freedom of speech, and I live that every day as governor. It is so important to have freedom of speech, and when you have outside people primarily, I'm pretty sure of that, running around with long guns. Some of them want to be policemen, some of them anti-police. It is a recipe for disaster, and it's a recipe for us to marginalize that freedom of speech that we all value so much. So as far as what I can do about that, I don't know if that was a sheriff's employee or a city employee. I don't know that, but I would hope that that person would be provide some corrective action and suggestions to him.
If I could just chime in for 1 second too, that's kind of what I was getting at when I said that that's not normal behavior. I mean, these people aren't out here as auxiliary officers. The police have all the support they need from the National Guard. So if in fact that is the case, that this sort of person is being celebrated as a vigilante, as a militiaman, then that's ridiculous. And that speaks to a much larger problem, and it is completely discouraged. And it's more than discouraged. I am willing to, that should never happen. I can come to them. I apologize. I'm just saying that is something that is completely horrifying. If this in fact is, if these armed men who have no connection to even this state, the guys from our town. So think about how ridiculous that is. Who is he accountable to? Nobody. And for him to even be able to shoot somebody and still walk away from the scene. I mean, they talked about finding a knife inside of the car, not even on Jacob Blake's person, but this guy's carrying around a long gun, killed somebody, just walking freely, was able to get back home to Illinois. Then, we got a much bigger problem on our hands. That's the case.
Governor,
Yes.
This is for you and for Lieutenant Governor Barnes. It is encouraging to hear that you're upset by what's happening here in Kenosha, I'm sure. But a lot of our viewers are demanding change. I've heard you say that you want change. That change needs to come from the top down. What specifically are you going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again? Well,
absolutely. This is critically important, and the previous protests across the state of Wisconsin are absolutely evidence that we cannot. We've got 400 years of systemic racism in this country, and if we don't do something about it, we'll be repeating Kenosha in cities all across our country and our state. So we need, we need a start, and that's why I asked the legislature to come in session next week to talk about some policing reform bills that frankly have bipartisan support already. And that would at least show, the people of the state that we have some interest in this topic. And so I'm hopeful that the Republicans can find the wherewithal to come to Madison for a day. They haven't been there for a long time. And we'll accommodate them the best way we can. But it's a start. We have to show the people of the state of Wisconsin that the political leadership in the state care about this issue. And this is a simple way to do it. So I'm counting on the Republicans to show up on next Monday, take up those bills, debate them, make them better, whatever. But they have to show an interest other than standing back and saying nothing.
Leadership does start at the top, and the governor introduced this package of bills 2 months ago. Legislature hasn't met in 4 months. So I hope that you're asking the same question to the leaders in the legislature, because we have acted.
Governor and Lieutenant Governor, I have a couple of questions for you. One, do you have any indication as to who the people are with long guns? Are they members of militia? The sheriff called them vigilantes. Have you been given any details? And the second question is, do you know whether or not the 17-year-old is charged in 2 murders because 2 people were killed, or if he's only charged in 1?
Well, certainly being state officials and not involved with charging issues, all I know is that the people that are the anguish and the pain in the city, you can feel it. You can feel it even as people were cleaning up today and doing the paintings and those thousands of volunteers. But at the end of the day, we have to do better, and there's pain and anguish because of an incident that should not have happened in this state or in Kenosha. So we have to make sure that we do better. Now, to answer specific questions about charging, that's something for the authorities to take on.
Lieutenant Governor, can you answer the question also about militias? Like, if you all have been told whether or not these are members of militias?
I have no idea. I only know have seen from the video a person who, I mean, you can make the conclusion that he is some sort of vigilante, a person who thought that he was cleaning up the mess, quote unquote. So that's the only thing I can say to that. I don't know for sure, but it's something that we shouldn't expect. There's nothing that we should accept as normal, and it's ridiculous because you see the outcome of that sort of behavior.
Governor Evers, have you had the chance to speak with the president about the use of the National Guard and just quelling the tension at all?
Yeah, I had a chance 2 days ago to speak to the president and Mark Meadows both, and what they called and reached out to me, and what I did was explain what we had done. We had already brought in the National Guard, and we were already expanding the footprint of the National Guard, and our Adjutant General was already being helpful and looking out to other states to get some help, so that we have the appropriate level of support for the people of Kenosha. And I will say flat out, we have met every benchmark that the people in Kenosha have asked us to do. They asked for X, we have provided X. Y, Z, we have provided every single thing. So the conversation I had with Mark Meadows subsequent to the president's comments was, he said that first of all, I said, they asked if we wanted Homeland Security here, and I said no. And then they talked about National Guard assets. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, our general, Adjutant General, was already talking to other states. Instead of being at cross purposes here, why don't you just provide the information to him so that he can figure it out? And the answer was yes. It does seem to be that we don't want to be cross purposes or duplicating or having separate conversations. The fact of the matter is that the assignment of National Guard troops is a state prerogative, and so they provided that information to the Adjutant General, and here we are. So that was the sum total of the conversations.
Governor Evers,
yes, hi.
This all started, the unrest started, I think, on Sunday night. Why has it taken you 4 days to get to Kenosha?
Oh my God, I'll tell you, I spend every waking moment communicating with staff members that are on the ground here, and also people from the governor's office. We're in constant communication with the people here in Kenosha. So I'm happy to be here today to see and talk with people on the street and understand their feelings. But as far as ongoing communication, it's been nonstop, 24 hours a day.
Just to follow up, I guess why haven't you been here? I mean, I think you were at Molson Coors, I believe, the night that shooting happened.
I'm sorry.
I believe you were at Molson Coors the same night that had happened. Why has it taken 4 days to get here, even if you are in communication?
Well, I came as soon as I can, okay? And I believe that my personal appearance here isn't necessarily going to solve all the problems for the people of Kenosha, and I feel very strongly, and I support the general and his work, and we are in constant communication with the political leaders and the decision makers, and so that is the reason why.
Travel is also a little bit different than pandemic as well.
Yeah. So